What is up, beautiful people of the full-time GoDev program? Today, we're going to continue here a little bit in this lesson. What we're going to do is basically, like I mentioned in a previous video, we have our HTTP metrics handler, which is beautiful. It's basically, it takes an instrument, it has an instrument function method, function receiver. Actually, I don't really want to call it method, but yeah. And it takes in a next, and basically what we're going to do here is we do a deferred function, which basically will calculate the latency and all that stuff. The problem is we already fucked some things up because we need to call next here, and that's going to be WR, right? This is basically, we're first going to instrument, and then we're going to call next, which is going to be one of these handlers here. So the problem is going to be that we can actually move this up here, I think. It's going to be fine. The thing is that we cannot catch the error here, right? And the reason for is because this HTTP handler func, let's open that up. This HTTP handler func doesn't have an error. So we need to basically reprogram this, right? Because we are programmers, we can reprogram that. That's the thing. In programming, you can basically make things work exactly the way you want them to work with some tricks. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna make, how are we gonna do this? This is fine, this is the HTTP handler struct. Let's make a function here, a typed function. We're gonna say HTTP func or API func. HTTP func is fine, that's what we're gonna do. Or maybe HTTP API handler. HTTP func is fine, right? It's going to be a function, and this function is going to take in the W, which is going to be an HTTP response writer, and it's also going to take in a pointer to an HTTP request, right? But instead, this is basically the HTTP handler signature, but we're going to return an error here. That's what we're going to do. So that's perfectly fine. The next thing we need to do, I'm thinking there are a couple of ways we can actually do that. This is going to take in a rack name and it's going to return an HTTP metric handler. That's fine. This instrument is going to take, I think what we could do here is maybe take in an HTTP func here, and then we can say this. Add is not null. We can actually log fail out or something, or println or something, this error, right? Println, just like this, so we know that something is wrong. That's that. So basically now we can have access to this error, which basically means this is the logrus. Let me quickly see how we're gonna do this, because that's a little bit sketchy. Wait, so this handle get invoice needs to be, this needs to return, wait, this needs to return HTTP func, HTTP func, right? Which is going to be a func with an error. We can actually return this write JSON directly, which is already nicer. Look at this, how beautiful this already is. Yeah, return this write JSON, return, look at that, it's beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Actually, to be honest, do we want to return that? We could return JSON here, but we could also, because if we return write JSON here, the problem is that we're never going to have an error unless write JSON has an error, right? So what we could do It's actually so bad to do in an instrument. Let me think here. Like I said, it's going to be on-the-fly problem solving. I need to have a little bit coffee. Wait, I need to find the root problem here at main. At main aggregator, that's what I want. So we're going to have this aggregator matrix handler. We're going to instrument handle aggregate. What I think... All right. HTTP. We're gonna do something completely. We're gonna refactor this a little bit. I think it's a cool thing to do. So basically, this thing, right? And that only for the errors. That's a little bit sketch. I'm thinking here for a good problem. So basically, the thing I'm concerned with is that if we don't, we need a custom API error here. So just like in the JSON series, right? So we're gonna make an API error. There's gonna be a structure, and we're gonna say what the code is here. Actually, to be honest, let's make it capitalized. The code is gonna be an integer, and we're gonna have an error itself, I think, which is gonna be a string. And then we're gonna implement here an API error. You can say E. Is it a pointer? Probably not. No pointer to this thing. And we're gonna say error, which is the interface, right? And that should return a string. And we could basically return... Yeah, that's a problem. So we're gonna call this R. And we're gonna say ER. Something like that, right? And we could say error implements the error interface, right? Just like that. That's fine. So the next thing we're gonna do here is refactor this handle get invoice a little bit, right? So we're gonna say, can we make a new one? We could do a couple things. We could say API error here. We could say that the code is going to be an HTTP status bad request. Request, and then we're going to say that the error actually, to be honest, is going to be, we could do an FMT. Actually, to be honest, we could, we can encapsulate the error. That's actually better. We can make from this error, we can make that an error itself. So we can return directly this error because the error here will implement error also. So that's gonna be fine. So that basically means that we're gonna say fmt error f invalid HTTP methods, and we can actually say something like %s, and that's gonna be our method, and then delete that. So now we have custom errors here. That's perfectly fine. In this case, let's just copy this beautiful struct here. We can return this. You could make it a function also, right? You can make a nice API error function. This is going to be missing OBU ID. Let's see, missing OBU ID. We don't need anything else here. It could be perfectly fine like that. Boom. Wait, is that... This is invalid OBU ID. Okay, nice. We're going to copy that. Everything is recording fine. 63 minutes. Yes, yes. 30 actually, to be honest. We're going to return this, and it's going to be invalid OBU ID. So we could do invalid OBU ID, and maybe we could do this and say OBU ID. It's going to do a string conv actually. We could do this, values 0, because that's going to be a string for sure. Look at this, beautiful. It's a slice of string, but yeah, okay, fine. What is this? Calculate invoice error. This is going to be the error from our service. So we're gonna return. Let's copy the whole shebang here. Boom. It's gonna be an internal server error, probably. Internal server error. And we're gonna return. This error could be basically that error. Look at this, how beautiful that is, right? We're gonna delete that. And then we can return right JSON. Yes, that's fine. So now we have refactored this handle get invoice. So basically what the problem is gonna be, that if we go to main, actually we have some problems here in HTTP. I'm not quite sure where that is. Oh yeah, it's still gonna problem. It's gonna be error, something like that. That's beautiful, right? All right, so let's go to main here, aggregator. So now we're gonna have a problem here, right? Because this is not gonna be which function did we do actually? Which function did we instrument? Handle get invoice, that's the one we did, right? Aggregate we didn't do. Okay, no problem. So we're gonna actually comment a little bit out here, this ag metric handler. Let's do that like this. Then we're gonna have slash invoice. So what we're gonna do, well, this is gonna work perfectly fine. So what I'm thinking to do, guys, this is a bit of the next level shenanigans. Because instrument, this is all fine, right? This is all fine. The problem is that I don't want to handle errors inside of this instrument thing. So I want to have some kind of middleware thing going on, where the metrics handler is part of. I have an idea. What we could do is this. Let's make a function here. Make HTTP func. We're gonna take in an event, which is going to be an HTTP func. Wait, it's not gonna be. It's gonna be make HTTP handler func, which is gonna be return HTTP handler func, alright? And we're gonna return a function that's gonna take in an W, which is gonna be an HTTP response writer, and also a pointer to a request, HTTP request. And we're gonna return, we're gonna say if r is event wr and the error is not null, then we can actually write JSON here. The code is gonna be, we're gonna assert this error, API error. We're gonna say if API error OK is going to be error, and we're gonna cast that thing to an API error, and we're gonna say if that's okay, what's going on here. Then we're gonna write JSON, and we're gonna write this API error code. Actually, to be honest, first we need to have the W probably, then we need the code, and then we need to have the error itself, which could be basically the whole object, to be honest. API error. Actually, error returns an error, right? Yeah, let's do the API error itself. That's fine. Something like this. So what we could do in main now is this, right? Main aggregator. What we could do is do an HTTP handle func. Handle func. We could do slash invoice, which we already have, right? Invoice. And then we could do something like make HTTP handler func, and we're gonna put in the handle get invoice with the SVC. Right, that's gonna work perfectly fine. Of course, now we don't have any metrics shenanigans going on. So what we could do is do something like invoice handler is going to be make HTTP handler func of invoice metrics handler dot instrument, and we're going to instrument handle get invoice as VC. That's not going to work. That was I afraid of. Yeah, because this instrument thingy returns a handler func, and we don't want that. We're going to return an HTTP func, which is an error, which is perfectly fine because that's what we need. This error here, what is this? It needs to return one. That's perfectly fine because we can catch the error, log error here, for example, and return the error once again. What is going on here? Yeah, otherwise we need to return nil, right, in this case. Yeah, something like that could work. Right, now we have our invoice handler, and we can make it a little bit cleaner by basically delete this thing and set our invoice handler like that. Invoice handler, right. Look at this. What do you think about that, guys? So we make an HTTP handler func out of the invoice metrics handler instrument to handle get invoice, and we can wrap them up. We could wrap them up. And I think we could do something like this. Like, for example, let's say H is going to be handle get invoice of the SVC. Right, then we can say H is going to be invite metrics instrument H. And H is going to be make HTTP handler func of H. That's not true because that's... yeah, because that's going to return something else, right? It's going to be... Yeah, I see. It's going to be the HTTP handler func. It's going to be this one. And then you can put that in. That's a little bit... It's just another way to write it down, right? I'm going to use this because I just love to basically dump everything into the function. All right, that's working fine. So now we have an error. We can fetch, right? That's the only reason why we did this. We can delete that. Log error. This is a defer func, right? So what we could do is something like this, var error. And we can say, for example, r is going to be this r, right? And we're going to say, we could say r is going to be next of wr, right? And then we can actually return r here and call it a day. Look at that. Is that going to work? And now we have an error that's always getting logged, and we can also do an error counter here if you really want, right? You can make a simple error counter here. Boom, boom, boom. Copy that, paste that in, call this error counter. We're going to call HTTP error counter, aggregator, fine. Metrics handler, copy this, call this error counter, boom. I'm getting sick, guys. Not quite sure what's going on. Well, I am sick. I feel good, but my nose and I don't know what's going on. Yeah, kids, man. Kids are always the problem. That's the thing. Once you have kids, they go to school, they get sick. They come home, you get sick. It is what it is. Error counter. Something you need to take in consideration. Yes. So now we could do basically if this. We could check that, to be honest. To do our error counter, eh? This is defer func, so we could say if r is not null, we can actually do h r counter increment, something like that. Like I said, I'm giving you the building blocks and the ideas and the thinking process on how to basically modify your program. And you don't need to do this from the start. You can basically, like I said, we built this up. And you can see that it takes some time, right? Because we are right now in this microservice stack, we are only making our aggregator top notch, right? If you need to do it for all of our services, there's going to be 100 episodes and another 50 hours on top of that. That's basically complete whack, right? But we do it right now, so now you can see how you can modify your existing handlers to get more data out of them in a much convenient way, right? The question rather is this gonna work? That's a good thing, right? So what I'm gonna do real quick, oh man, it's gonna be, I think the first thing I'm gonna do is cd Prometheus. It's gonna be / Prometheus. Yeah, I'm just thinking, how do we do that? -- config.file is going to be .config prometheus.yaml. That's true. That's working out. The next thing I want to do is basically boot up Grafana. Actually, I don't need Grafana for this to test that stuff. We're gonna do make ag, right? That's running, and then I'm gonna do a Thunder client request. Holy shilloli. Gonna be HTTP / localhost 4000 metrics. Let's see if that works. Yes. Then I'm gonna say /aggregate. Boom. That's gonna be page not found, because that's a post. Wait. I think it's invoice I want to do, because yeah, now we have this beautiful JSON thing. That's exactly what we want. Aha! And now we also get the error, right? Missing OBU ID in our logs. You see, this is actually beautiful, right? And this is basically what I want to do with this course. This is with this program. It's not that I want to show you guys how exactly you need to add metrics to Grafana and all that stuff, because you're not gonna do that. You're not gonna do this stuff, right? That's other people gonna do that. But this thing is what you're gonna do. You're gonna make your life as easy as possible. So now, if each time we send this, it's gonna be error missing OBU ID. That's what the reason why we did that. And we're gonna have a latency here, and a request is gonna be /invoice. That's perfectly fine. And we're gonna have this problematic uppercase thing, but that's fine. And this error is going to be an object, and that's something I don't want. So we need to fix that right now. How are we going to do this? Where is this error? HTTP shenanigans here. Let's make this error I see what's the problem is. This error is going to be an error object. I see. What we could do is basically this, right? You could do something like a map string or something, and you could do like this. Just say that there is an error, and you're gonna say that the message is going to be the API error, call it a day. Just like that, right? If you do this again, make ag. Don't need to be fancy, right? You see it's going to be error missing OBU ID, because the status code is going to be here for 400, so no need for that. Unless you guys want to make more information, hey, feel free to do that, and feel free to dump out more shenanigans to the screen. Hey, it's all fine, right? I'm just giving you some hints and the way I'm guiding you, right? I'm giving you the north on the compass. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is do this for aggregate, right? Aggregate is not in order, so what I'm going to do is aggregate, that's what we need, man, aggregate. This is going to return HTTP handler func. We don't need that, we need an HTTP func here. HTTP func, let's delete that. Going to be HTTP func, just like this. Problematic reds, no problem, error, and call it a day. We need to write some beautiful stuff to the screen, so we're going to copy that. Actually, I'm going to copy the status bad request, so I save some more time. Paste that in here, delete this write JSON, delete this return. Oh man, wait, what was the problem? Oh yeah, the method thingy. Let's see, it's going to be a method not supported. Supported like that. We're going to say %s. Actually, you can embed that. I always do this like that, so you can see that it's that method. That's going to be our method, basically. That's perfectly fine. Let's copy this again. status byte request is going to be that could be the JSON error here. There's actually failed to decode, right? Failed to decode the response body. And then you could actually do this, do a %s and call this error inside of that, and it will basically give us some more details about that. So that's beautifully, and this is going to be an internal server error. So we're going to copy that once again, paste that in, delete this boy, save this. We can't save this again. We can't. I don't know why that is. Oh yeah, it's because of this shenanigans. This is going to be, actually, to be honest, this error is going to be delete till this comma, delete till comma. Wait, there are two commas. This is going to be the add error. I think we can actually do the add itself, to be honest. This is going to be a status internal server error, right? Something like that. For the people that actually are a little bit in depth, and you could directly say here, yo Anthony, but an internal server error for this aggregate distance, is that actually a good idea? No, because the error coming from aggregate distance from the business logic itself could not be an internal server error. But now that we have specific errors, now that we can handle these errors, now you can do much more advanced stuff in your business logic. So the transport layer can basically see what kind of error it is and return the correct status code. Of course, for gRPC, you're not going to use that, but for JSON, HTTP, it's important. What is this? It's going to be return right status okay. Here. Oh yeah, no, it's not true, because we don't for aggregate, we don't have any response, right? So we're going to say map of a string. String, we're going to say it's going to be message. We're going to just say okay, right? Beautiful. Handle aggregate. So now we're going to go back to main aggregator, right? Now we're going to say this aggregated matrix is this. We're going to make the ag handler. Make HTTP handler func, and it's going to be the ag matrix handler instrument of the handle aggregate with the SVC inside of this beautiful thing. Delete this, have this, basically make a var out of all these shenanigans here. Boom, 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 boom. Paste that in. And then we're going to say, we're going to delete this one. We're going to copy that, paste that in. Going to call aggregate here, aggregate. And we're going to say, it's going to be the aggregate handler. And now, we have this, what's going on here? Anthony, please. Right, and now we have beautiful, beautiful things on our screen. What do you think about that, guys? I hope you learned something from this, because this is very important stuff, because once you know these thinking process, making these patterns, yeah, it's just, you have superpowers, right? You have superpowers. Like I said, this is not about the business logic from for microservices. I don't think it makes any sense. I think you guys, like I said, I already checked some comments on Teachable, and I can clearly see that you guys are basically no beginners, right? Most of maybe there are, right? But I do not need to teach you how to fucking make business logic, right? That's just easy, right? It can be difficult, of course. Solving problems is always difficult, but I mean, you guys can be good Python developers, good C++ developers, maybe good Java developers. Becoming to Golang, it's a complete new thinking. Of course, you can program, but it's a complete new thinking process, right? How do I need to structure? Because Java has its idioms and it's a good language. C++ has its idioms. There are no bad programming languages, right? But it's coming in. How do I need to do this? How can I structure this? What are the tricks? What can we do, right? How is it done in the industry? That's what I want to show you here, right? Like I said, I also have my strengths and my weaknesses, right? And also I want to say that sometimes maybe it is not something correctly implemented, but that's not the goal always, right? Of course, it's nice that you guys can catch it and can improve it in the comments, but it's not always the goal that some stuff will have missing things, right? Keep that in mind. Man, dying. All right, so I think this is gonna be fine. Let me just do an make egg here to see what we can do here. To Discord messages, eh? New request. This invoice thing is gonna be fine. Missing OBU ID. Let's try to aggregate, which is gonna be that's gonna give us the problem of the method not allowed. You see, method not supported get, and you see now you have these errors here, right? And that's super important because if you basically log this to a file and then your DevOps team or you can scrape these files and put them into Elasticsearch, you're gonna have these beautiful error messages with latency and all that stuff, right? And you don't need to touch anything, right? It's gonna work perfectly out of the bat for everything, right? Okay, and yeah, so that's working pretty fine. We did what we needed to do, which is amazing, right? So I'm looking forward to see you in the next one. Bye bye.